Follow the Path. The Bears Grove is adult-level discussion of role-playing as a storytelling art at samchuppmedia.com.
Hello and welcome to another World Building Wednesday. I hope you're doing well. This is part 3 of my city series. And in part 1, we talked about where to place a city and how to, what kind of things a city needs to survive. In part 2, we discovered the history of the city a bit more and worked through the ins and outs of what happened throughout the cultures, throughout that city's growth period. And now we have, what I would call game present. So you can look at the city that we have now, and you can see there's a dwarven district, there's an elven district, there is a nomad / human district, there's a old town, there's a fancy town on the hill, there's a fancy place on the hill where all the rich folks live because it's overlooking the river and it's beautiful, and the climate up there is much better. And we also have an arcane district where a wizard came and sat down and made a tower there, and so other wizards showed up, and now there's a group of wizards living in the town, and they have needs from the crafters, alchemical tools and maybe ritual tools, and then maybe the various religions of the people have grown in this area, and maybe the outside religious figures are asserting their power in the city and coming to bless the city. And then when they bless the city, they're basically saying this is ours in a purely religious sense, of course, but it seems a little bit more than that, right? And so you have a city that feels real, right? So you can track the fact that people like to eat corn cakes because that was a nomad food, or you can track that everybody loves roast pig because the dwarves brought in a bunch of pigs and they were great at cooking them, and so roast pig is a big deal in the city. You have elven cuisine, basically flowers that you eat and salads and venison that you hunt yourself as part of a ritual of hunting or whatever. And you have, so this is what I'm talking about. So all these different cultures come in, they have food, they have language, they have customs, they have religions and traditions, and they have they're basically engines for story. And you get to make these things up. And you might say to yourself, but Sam, why would I want to do all this? Well, it's because this is your city now, okay? This is your city. This is the city that you can basically use forever. No one can take this away from you. You created it. And you know more about it than anybody else. And just sit and think about that for a little while. You know more about it than anybody else. It's yours. And that's why this is a good idea. But more importantly, it's fun. To me, it's fun. Now, a lot of people might say, well, that's really kind of a simplistic city, Sam, isn't it? You only got like 5 cultures? Yeah, that's true. It's simplistic. I'm not trying to sit here and create a huge city for you, but if you lather, rinse, and repeat the concept of cultures coming in, and I've used species as cultures here, and for that I'm sorry, but it's just shorthand to allow us to get through this exercise without having to create brand new cultures right here and now. But certainly I'm wanting you to create cultures the way you want to create them, right? That's important. So, you know, look at our history, the history of humanity, and you'll find a lot of different people, a lot of different situations that are very similar to this, some that are not. But you can find a lot of diversity in the history of cities. And you have to remember that whatever history you make creates the culture of the city. And you can have new cultural influences coming in all the time and have that whole story of getting amalgamated, getting put into the culture, watching what happens when cultures clash, right? So I'm very excited to have done this with you. I appreciate the time you spent with me about this. If you have any questions about city building, let me know. It's one of my favorite topics, obviously. I've talked about it for quite a bit of time now. I'd love to work with you if you're interested in talking more about a city building exercise. I love cities in my game, and I do believe that it is a good part of world building. It lets people know what's important about your city in a microcosm, what's important about your world in a microcosm. Okay? Thanks so much for listening to me, and I hope you all have sweet dreams when you get them.